Congressional Black Caucus this evening under the leadership of Chairman Richmond. And as my colleagues have said, we have been sadly a leader on common sense gun safety legislation, sadly because many of our districts, although we represent the huge numbers of diverse Americans, our districts represent Anglos and African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians, all economic backgrounds, all wealth backgrounds, all backgrounds dealing with religion. We are able to speak because many of our districts have the reality of gun violence. So I want to speak, Congressman, to a particular point that I have heard from the stander-uppers of the NRA, and particularly the President and CEO when he spoke to the conservative organization just this past week. I was certainly shocked to hear accusations about Democrats as socialists, even to the extent of calling out members' names, of which I think patently rejects the comedy and collegiality of recognizing democracy accepts two distinct parties and some other parties and respects differences of opinion. But let me be very clear on the record. No one member of this body, you, distinguished gentlemen, can eliminate the Second Amendment. No group of 20 members of Congress, no all Republicans of Congress, no Democrats of Congress can eliminate the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is a constitutional amendment, and there is a decided practice of a percentage of members of Congress and the percentage of members of 50 states. And with that in mind, let us clear the air. But if we want to know the truth, what is being fought is gun safety legislation, not gun eradication. In my state, you cannot rent a car if you're not 21. The federal law says that you cannot buy a gun if you're not 21. I'll be introducing legislation to raise the age of 21. I already have legislation on a 7-day waiting period, banning bump stocks, and of course, dealing with automatic weapons. I know that we are introducing one now. There are a multitude of introductions of bills, multitude of decisions be made by the Florida delegation, which we should listen to, and I hope they will come forward in a bipartisan way. But let me talk about the children and parents. I was on the air today talking or hearing that parents are hovering and scared of sending their children to school, and the children are scared. This last week, I went into my schools where children were not only talking about not arming teachers, but the gunfire in their neighborhoods by handguns, or those who were in schools dealing with children who had steered in the wrong direction. Those children were talking about you gotta pack. Gun culture doesn't realize what we are turning our children into, that they've got to pack. So from Las Vegas to Orlando to Virginia to San Diego to San Bernardino to now Douglas High School, the question is, when are we going to act? An average of 1,297 children die annually from gun-related injuries. A majority of Americans now support gun policy proposals such as barring people with mental illness from buying guns. But let me make it very clear. I don't label people that suffer from mental health issues. What I say is let us provide the resources for those individuals, and clearly between mistakes of reporting what this young man had indicated, to mistakes on the local and federal level, to mistakes on his mental health situation, we all can stand and blame. But they're adults. And what the response has been from our good friends who are the gun advocates, so they say, has been to close their eyes, close their ears, and not sit down at the table of reconciliation. The gun manufacturers cannot continue to dominate the discussion of sensible gun legislation. From Gabby Giffords to the tragedies that I've listed, to my children who are saying, I hover in my room, my bedroom, listening to gunfire in my neighborhood because the proliferation of guns is so extensive. So guns are being trafficked illegally because of the gun culture. And there are many elements that will go into this. The Congressional Black Caucus has been at the forefront of changing that gun culture, as Congresswoman Kelly has preached about, because of what happens in Chicago. I join her because what happens in our neighborhoods is that our children are cowering over gun violence, period. No, arming our teachers is not the answer. Securing our school is. Banning those weapons of war are. Extending the time frame is. Lifting the age is. And getting the checks, the gun checks, background checks to close the loopholes is. And so I'm asking this floor, I'm asking this leadership, as we're doing good legislation on human trafficking, of which I will participate in tomorrow, I am asking that we put on the floor legislation of gun safety. And I thank the gentleman for yielding and thank him for his leadership tonight.
Thank you.